Hello my dearest friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. It is February already and it's a month where we get to celebrate so many different things. We've got Black History Month, we've got Pharaoh Feb within the bookish world where we try to read more romance fantasies or romantasies as we like to call them nowadays. And we also have Valentine's Day coming up soon on the 14th. And actually, fun fact here, in Bulgaria, we actually have a different holiday that we celebrate on the 14th of February. Also, Bulgaria has like the most holidays, I think, in the whole world. We celebrate something every single day, but the 14th of February, we celebrate winemakers, winemaking, wine in general. So it's more of a boozy kind of a holiday than a holiday that centers on love. But obviously Western culture is taking over everywhere. So a lot of people here also celebrate Valentine's Day. And to get us in the mood for Valentine's Day, I've decided to today recommend to you all kinds of books that will give you all of the feels, that feel so romantic, have such romantic gestures within them, and you will feel like you want to be part of that world, or you would like to be those characters where you get all of that affection and all of the care and love that is showered upon the specific characters. You would want to feel them as well. So those are the books that I've selected today because in my romance loving heart, these are the kinds of stories that I appreciate and love the most. And because it's February and I really do feel like this month is the type of month where I will gravitate more towards these kinds of stories, I definitely have a list for you. I think I have about 10 of them that I will recommend to you. Some of these I've recommended probably over and over because they're really favorites of mine, because like I mentioned, I gravitate towards these kinds of stories. But some of these are newer additions because I've recently read them. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and tell you all about the books that I hope will get you in the mood for the Day of Love, the 14th of Feb. The first book on my list is one that I read a couple of months ago, and it's Make It Sweet by Kristen Callihan. This is a foodie romance. It's one where we've got two characters who are desperately looking to redefine themselves because they've both lost the thing that they love the most, their careers. The heroine, not so much. She still basically has the opportunity to regain some semblance of her career, but she just lost part of her job. And the hero is actually a pro hockey player who got injured, so he cannot practice hockey if he wants to be healthy. So he basically has had to say goodbye to his career and he's devastated by that. They meet up at this mansion that is kind of like the found family mansion for this old lady. She is the hero's grandmother, I believe, and she's also a friend of her grandmother, so of the heroine's grandmother. So they kind of get invited together at the same time to reside there. He's a chef and he is making all of the food within that mansion, and she doesn't know that. So there is a lot of sweet kind of romantic gestures that are secret romantic gestures. So he's making her baskets of food, so breakfast and baskets of food whenever she's feeling down, and he's sending her things to try. And always when she doesn't eat something, he's trying to figure out what she doesn't like, so he kind of avoids like putting those stuff within her food. But at the same time, he notices when she loves something, so he tries to recreate things that she loves. So it very much gives you all of the feels that the hero, even though he is a reluctant hero, even though he doesn't want to show his feelings, that he very much has developed feelings for the heroine. He's very attracted to her. He has some kind of a sweet spot for her, and he definitely wants to win her over, even though he doesn't want to admit it to himself as well. It's a bit of a slow burn, it's a grumpy sunshine, and it gives all the amazing feels. I definitely would recommend this one if you love foodie romances. Also, there is great representation for migraines within this book, so I definitely recommend this one. The next one, I'm sure everyone has read already, but maybe it's a good time to do a reread, maybe for myself as well. This is The Right Move by Liz Tomforde. I think that everyone knows already that this book is extremely romantic because we've got a hero who also is reluctant, and those are the types of heroes who very much are the best kinds of heroes because we see them break at some point, right? We see them showing that they need to acknowledge that they have feelings for the heroine. We've got Ryan Shea, who is a pro basketball player, and we've got Indy, who is his sister's best friend. She has come to be in a very tough spot because she has ended her long-term relationship and she doesn't have anywhere to stay. So Stevie, the hero's sister, proposes that she lives with Ryan because he has this huge apartment. He is very much a recluse. He very much likes his private space to be private. So he doesn't want to go for it, but at the same time, he cannot say no to his sister, so he agrees. So they become roommates. There is forced proximity. There is fake dating within this book, and there are so many little romantic gestures that Ryan Shea does for Indy, and those are really everyday kinds of things that he does for her, but they make all the difference because no one has really taken the time to take care of her within her life. So it makes all the difference, and he really accepts that they're polar opposites. He embraces her for who she is, and it's just such a romantic, wonderful book, this one. I would gladly do a reread if I'm not reading so much new stuff that has just recently released. Like I mentioned, there's just so many new releases. I want to get to all the new books that are coming out, but at the same time, I would love to revisit this story because it's so freaking romantic. It definitely deserves all the hype, and I definitely recommend it to read around Valentine's Day. By the way, please pardon my cracking voice. I'm still getting over being sick, so I kind of sound not like myself. But regardless, I'm moving on to the next book. That is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Actually, Abby Jimenez is the only author that will appear twice in this list because I cannot not include Yours Truly. I think I really have a soft spot for books that include penmanship. And this book has that. And this book also has a very big vulnerability within it because it has great anxiety representation. And it also includes a relationship that starts building up by first building a friendship through those letter exchanges and some meetings that they have and some fake dating as well. And then it turns into a romance as well. So I really have a soft spot for such stories. I definitely recommend Part of Your World, which is the standalone first book within this series, but this one it kind of has a special place in my heart because the two characters here I find are so compatible and are just made for each other. They really, in my opinion, are soulmates. We've got two doctors who work at the same hospital. He's the newly arrived doctor. She has been vying for a position within this hospital, and she is afraid that he's going to be taking her spot because he's a male doctor and it's a male-dominated world. And he kind of makes a very bad first impression on her, so he decides to send her a letter apologizing for whatever happened when they met. And then this turns into a friendship, essentially, and then turns into something more. So it's such a special story and has such a connection between the two characters. I absolutely adored this one. So now the lighting is different as well because I've just had to put on a light because it's becoming a bit dark. And I'm going to continue on with the next book, which is Mr. Romance by Lisa Rayven. I think this is the type of story that really gets to me personally because it's the type of story where one of the characters, in this case the heroine, she is a bit of a love skeptic. She doesn't believe in love anymore and she's very jaded by the whole concept of love. And I really love that the hero is the one who is showing her that she really needs to find her love for love back. So she needs to find her belief in love back. And it's so relatable, right? Because nowadays everyone is a love skeptic, I feel like, because it's so difficult to find a partner with whom you want to do the work and you want to imagine happily ever after and want to stick to the end and not just, stay for a while and then move on to the next. So I really do believe that nowadays it's very difficult to really continue believing in the true romantic kind of love that I've grown up believing in, like in the fairy tale kind of love. So those stories really get to me. I don't know if I'm being naive here, but it's really something that I love. So Mr. Romance is definitely the kind of story that you can pick up if you're looking for something similar. We've got a heroine who is a journalist, and she is tasked with doing an expose on this guy who is Mr. Romance. He has a business of taking women out on their dream dates, and she's like, this is some kind of a scam. This guy's probably taking advantage of these poor women, and she really doesn't believe in his business at all. So she decides to do an expose on him, and he agrees to it if he can take her out on a couple of dates, and she agrees. So it's such a wonderful story. Like I mentioned, I definitely loved it, and I hope if you pick it up that you're going to love it too. So I've really tried to pick different kinds of stories for this list. I tend to do that for my recommendation videos so that you can kind of find all kinds of stories within them. And this one is a male-male romance. It's The Rest of the Story by Bauer. This book is a hockey romance between two teammates. The first guy, he was in this professional hockey team that was doing quite well, and he gets traded to this no-name, absolutely not well-known team. And it turns out that everything that is going on there is quite of a mess. And there is a very specific reason for that. And it's a bit of a heavy-hitting story because there are definitely a lot of triggers for things involving abuse. And yeah, the two heroes, they are teammates now, and one of them is a bit older, the other one is younger, and they immediately have this connection together, and they want to work together to build up the team and build up the self-confidence and build up the relationships and build up like a found family aspect within the team. And there is so much love within this book, not only between the two heroes, but just between all of the characters all together. But also the romantic gestures between the two heroes are just to die for. And there is just such a gradual build up of their relationship, and so many small moments of them looking at each other and them appreciating each other in specific situations is just to die for. I absolutely love this story. It's such a romantic and kind of a wholesome story, even though it deals with heavy topics. Just the two of them, you want to cherish their romance because it's just so wonderful, and I definitely recommend this one as well. Now the next one, I'm just going to go ahead and say that for me, this is an epic romance. This is a love story for the ages, and I absolutely recommend it with both hands and would love for everyone to pick this up to appreciate the absolute craft that Kennedy Ryan has put into this book. It's called Real, and it centers on two characters who are within the movie industry. He is a director, she is an actress. He wants to create this masterpiece, this piece of work that he has been building his whole life, and he's looking for exactly the right actress to portray the main character of his story, and he finds that in the heroine. So it's kind of a forbidden romance because they're working together, and he has a strict no dating the cast policy because of his past. Also, there is great representation for chronic illnesses because the heroine has lupus and the hero's mother also has a chronic illness. And also there's great caretaking within this book. There's just such an epic feel to this book. Like their love story is the one that you're going to be returning to over and over and over. And also it feels very cinematic, the way that it's been written, like you're actually part of a movie and not part of a book. And it's just such a wonderful, absolutely beautifully written book. Like I mentioned, I would just love for everyone to read this. Now, the next one I've mentioned quite a bit before because it just fits into so many different corners within the bookish tropes, but I find that it's also a very romantic story, so I definitely would also pick it up around Valentine's Day. The book is called Finding Jean Kelly by Torie Jean. So the story centers on our heroine who moves to Paris, and she wants to have her own patisserie, so she's a baker. and she bumps into her like arch nemesis one day in Paris, and she doesn't expect that she's going to bump into him because he obviously lives in the States, but he's there because he wants to take her to her brother's wedding. And they kind of have this history that we're finding out later on what it is, but she definitely kind of hates his guts while he very much wants to make amends. And we definitely already from the start see that he's a pining hero, and I love pining heroes. And the heroine also has a chronic illness. There is caretaking within this book that I absolutely loved, and there are just so many little romantic gestures that center on Gene Kelly as an actor and his movie in Paris. And I love that within the book. It just sounds so romantic to me to be in the city of love and reenact scenes from Gene Kelly's movies. That just sounds like the best kind of a romance to me. So I definitely would recommend this one as well. So there's no way for me to not include a second chance romance on here, because even though second chances are not maybe considered in real life as very romantic, in my opinion, finding the person at the right time. So sometimes you just bump into the person, you have this relationship that doesn't work out, but maybe it wasn't the right time or the right circumstances. And then when you encounter them again and it's the right time, that is when my heart goes nuts. I really want to see those kinds of stories and those kinds of people find their happily ever after. So this is the book for me when it comes to second chance romances. Tia Williams's 7 Days in June is absolutely marvelous. I find that this is a stunning second chance romance where the hero and heroine had a very turbulent teenage romance, a very short-lived teenage romance, and then they encounter each other many, many years later. But that turbulent week that they spent together has impacted their whole lives, and you kind of figure out why that is and how that is, and it's just so beautiful to read through. And also the way that it's really their right time when they meet up in the present, it just makes so much sense. And their way of dating is also absolutely romantic and wonderful. I would highly, highly recommend this one as well. So the last two mentions that I'm going to have in this recommendations video are recent releases. They're actually part of this bundle of novellas that are written by different authors, and they're all Valentine's Day centered. The first one is the first one that I absolutely love, by Christina Lauren. The book is called The Exception to the Rule. They're all very short, like 60 to 80 pages, and you actually can get them for free through Kindle Unlimited. And also I think if you have either Audible or Amazon Prime, I'm not sure which one, you can get them for free on audio as well. The first one has this wrong email trope thing where you send an email to the wrong person, and that happens on Valentine's Day. So a correspondence between the hero and heroine starts on I think they're his senior year and she's not a senior yet, and they're living in the same hometown, but they start to correspond with each other. He moves away because he's going to college, and then we get a year-long penmanship between them. We read through their emails and their adventures, what they're communicating to each other. And then it develops into more, and every year they write to each other on Valentine's Day. It's just so amazingly cute and so well fleshed out for like a 60-70 page novella. I absolutely love that one. And then the second one is by Abby Jimenez. It's called The Worst Wingman Ever. This one is a bit sad. I have to say that I have read a couple of reviews for this one, and a lot of people are complaining that it's not very romantic or not very centered on Valentine's Day, but I have to disagree with that. I think it has something very beautiful within it when it comes to the cuteness of the Valentine's exchange. It does have a sad trope within it where we're dealing with a hospice nurse who is taking care of her dying grandmother. So I do understand that a lot of people may not want to pick it up around Valentine's Day. So be aware of that. But at the same time, for me, the whole situation with her taking care of her grandmother, who eventually told her about something that has happened to her that impacts the heroine so much that she decides that she really wants to go for it and look up the hero and really go for the love that she wants. I found that deeply romantic, so I really love that. And the premise of the book is so cute. We've got the hero and heroine who are in this same apartment complex because of different reasons, and his brother is like, I'm very busy. Can you please do me a favor? Can you leave this Valentine's Day note on my girlfriend's car windshield? And he does that, but he does it with the wrong car. So the heroine actually gets this note. They start to exchange notes as well. So this penmanship thing just runs through my whole recommendation video here, but I just love that so much. So I really love this one as well, and look up the premise for it, check whether it's going to be for you. But I definitely wanted to mention it because it's a Valentine's Day kind of centered story. It has more sad tones to it, so be aware of that. Oh my lord, it has gotten really dark. I probably look like Casper, the, what is it, the friendly ghost because of this light, but regardless, we're done with filming for now. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please tell me all of the romantic stories that you plan on picking up around Valentine's Day. Please tell me all of the romantic stories that I need to add to my TBR, because like I mentioned, these are the kinds of stories that I live for. Also tell me whether you've picked up these books and whether you love them as much as I did. I hope you did. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care, and bye.